I think you should totally consider me for the role of CJ. Little hesitant there, because not because I don't want the role, but because, you know, for me the word CJ kind of has slightly odd associations. It kind of makes me think of sort of a she-man. Not because of anything that's happened, it just sort of, yeah, it just, I think that's the word itself, really.
Is she stoned?
Was that a wasp?
That was the wasp from the previous
caller she wanted in. Yeah, no, I enjoyed Saskia. I think I'll have to listen to her tape a bit more fully to really get the sense of the woman. But she did sound pretty posh.
She did, didn't she? She sounded a bit like, and Saskia, if you're listening, don't take this the wrong way. You sounded a bit like I did when I was 8. My voice was very much that timbre. I actually have a tape I recorded for my brother as a letter, my brother Lance, and my voice sounded almost exactly like Saskia's there. Anyway, so
can you give us a flavour of your voice at 8?
It was kind of, hi, it's me, just writing a letter to tell you all about my time at boarding school.
It was kind of like that, it was that sort of sound.
Oh, that's very sweet. I'd like to hear that. Could you dig that tape out?
I'm sure, I tell you what, I might send it under plain cover and pretend it's one of the CJ submissions, and no one will know.
Why not? Fair enough. And next up, Sarah, who's our final contributor today.
Andrew Bird, who I went to see last week in Bush Hall at Shepherd's Bush, and he was incredible. He was playing the guitar 1 second, and then it was through that way, and then he'd be playing the violin, and he was playing the violin like a guitar, and then he'd be whistling, and I'm sure dogs would get confused by this whistling. It was all over the place, and I'm sure, Steve, that you know what I'm talking about, and because you're a fan of him, I'm sure yourself, with excellent taste in music, my child. Would that get me anywhere if I say that?
I thought that was interesting. I couldn't tell if that was just the nature of the recording that made her sound that way, or whether she was speaking through some kind of voice box.
A lot of them have been sent in on mobile phones.
Oh, mobile phones.
So that's why Saskia and Sarah, I think, sounded a bit rubbish.
Sure.
Because they don't have MP3 things. So you can do that. Record it on your mobile phone, then email it in as an MP3.
And of course, we're listening through. We understand. So we can fight through the technology and have a listen. And I think she was talking about who? Andrew
Bird. Yeah.
Well, she's clearly got kind of passion about music, which is nice, and she obviously enjoys gigs. And she was speaking with enthusiasm, which is something I definitely appreciate.
Yeah, and I'm furious because she managed to get a ticket for that show, and it had sold out, and I couldn't go.
Right. Well, she's not going to get the gig then.
No, I don't like her already.
Exactly. No, I thought they were all kind of interesting in their own different ways. I'm not sure. Obviously, we won't make any judgments yet. We won't make any verdict because I have to absorb and listen to them all. And I think people can go to the website. Is that right, Joe? They get the information there. www.6music.co.uk / I guess something.
bbc.co.uk/6music.
Right.
And click on your face.
Okay, click on my face, and then thank you very much. This sort of information I should know, really. A lot of people are saying that's exactly what I'm being paid for. Obviously we welcome them. We're going to kind of keep this open-ended for a little while until we've gathered enough together to be able to make a decent assessment. But they've all been sort of interesting and strong. And it's nice to know there's people out there who are as kind of I don't know, as meandering and passionate as we are. I think that's a good thing, isn't it? Meandering and passionate.
Yeah, I think
that's what I put on my MySpace page. Meandering and passionate. Okay, so it's almost the end of the show, which means we've got just enough time, I think, to squeeze in a couple of final choices from Dan and Harry. Dan's no longer here. I'm so used to saying that. I'm in a rhythm, you see. I've really snapped out of that. Harry and Rufus, it's weird to look at you two there and to see no tiny little Dan. He's off. Oh, man, God bless him.
He's such a little fella.
He is. Yes, we've we got the choice from Harry.
Yeah, well, confusingly, my track is by a man named Dan.
Ooh, that's very me.
Dan Sartain. I think he's got quite a bit of coverage recently. His latest album did okay, but this is off his first album proper, and it's called Walk Among the Cobras Part 1.
Walk Among the Cobras Part 1, Dan Sartain. That's Harry's choice this week on The Steve Show. I enjoyed it, Harry, very much.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I saw him about 18 months ago in a pub room, but he's only a short fellow, Sartain, and he was worried because people at the back couldn't see because it was packed, and so he got someone to bring a box next to his microphone, and when he wasn't singing, if he was doing a solo, he'd climb up onto the box.
That's very sweet.
So the people at the back could see him, and he'd give a little smile. Oh, he's a lovely man.
That's really very endearing. That means that story alone means it's going to be very difficult for Rufus to win over me with his choice. What have you got for us?
I've got a track by a group called Fug. They did an album called Ready For Us that was released in 2001. They've just released another album last year called Procrastinate, based in Nottingham. It's a great music scene in Nottingham, and this is a track called Overflow, which I think in this emerging summer weather is a lovely soundtrack for the summer.
Ooh, okay, we'll be the judge of that. Fug, Overflow, the choice of Rufus on today's Steve Show. I imagine, Rufus, that's the sort of song you've brought a lady back to your your apartment. You've picked up the remote control as if from nowhere. The lights change, the gentle glitter ball starts casting a kind of melee of sort of starlight and stuff around the room, you know,
Yeah.
little images of moons and stars.
Yeah.
That just comes on the stereo, very
Yeah.
mellow. You just slowly unbutton your tweed trousers to reveal some extraordinary set of underpants that no woman could resist. Have I painted a picture of last night, Rufus?
It's almost as if you were in my flat on Friday night, Steve.
Yeah.
You missed out the detail of me getting out a pipe and tamping down the end with my thumb.
Exactly. Yeah.
But otherwise it's exactly the same.
I don't imagine that's the sort of song that floated your boat, Harry.
I imagine going into a pub on Sunday, one of those swanky pubs where they play that sort of music really loud. I can't get a pint because the bar staff aren't interested. They're probably making cocktails. You know, they say they do a Sunday roast, but it's rubbish. You know, I didn't like that. I didn't like
You
that.
want a pint of best, not a mojito.
Exactly. I quite like the song, but it's just the images in my head that put me off it, I'm afraid.
Well, it is, as I say, the sort of song I imagine Rufus seducing a lady to, or maybe I say a lady. Who knows? Who knows how many are in that room as we speak? Picture it as you see fit, ladies. But obviously each week I've been contributing another song to my selection CD, Songs to Seduce Women by, something you might slip on if, perhaps, unlike Rufus, you're not quite the charmer with the ladies that you'd like to be, and this is obviously the way to win them over. We had a number of different tunes. This one is a song that actually was recommended to me by a friend of mine called Jules, and it's a very seductive tune called Cherry by J.J. Cale. Cherry by J.J. Cale. Please, please, please do not make the mistake of confusing J.J. Cale with John Cale of the Velvet Underground. It's
easily
not
done.
the same person, people. Is there anyone in here who's made that mistake in the past? You've perhaps been at a party, you've been chatting about John Cale, and you've thought it was I didn't
I
share it.
stalked J.J. Cale for months before I realised my mistake.
Exactly, it's a terrible mistake to make. That's pretty much the end of the show, guys. I don't want to disappoint anyone, but we've got to largely wrap things up. We've got to thank Harry, we've got to thank Rufus. Round of applause for them.
Thank you.
If you want to recommend songs to me, then you can check out the website bbc.co.uk/6music. You can also go there if you are a lady and you would like to put yourself forward as a potential Steve Show contributor. I will leave you with a track which was taken from the recent Bobby Gentry Best Of album, and Bobby Gentry was sort of singer-songwriter from the 70s. She kind of pretty much gave up in about 1979. She's not been seen since, but this is a track called Chickasaw County Child. Chickasaw County Child. Let me get that right. Chickasaw County Child. Yeah. Public Image Limited and Rise, a song which I dedicate to the main man himself, of course, Jesus H. Christ, who on this day, just under 2,000 years ago, ascended to heaven after rising from the dead. Or did he? Some people say no, he didn't. That's a load of old codswallop, and that actually he didn't rise from the dead at all. He stayed buried, and there's a kind of carefully cultivated myth developed around him later. Whichever side of the fence you're on, you have to agree one thing, that John Lydon of Public Image Limited is nowadays a bloody embarrassment. I don't know what happened. He was, of course, in 1977 the coolest man on the planet. 2007, one of the lamest. Turns up on TV shows talking a lot of old arse, trying to be a bit rude, trying to be a bit rebellious, and swearing, of course, still. He did it years ago on Bill Grundy, still swearing, still thinking it's big and clever, no longer as fashionable.
Thing is though, Steve, he just doesn't care.
He don't care, does he?
He don't care who he upsets.
He don't care.
He's a wild man.
In that respect, much like, of course, I suppose his natural heir, that bell end from the Towers of London. Yeah. What's his name? Who's that? What's that fella called?
Big Blondie or something.
Big Blondie, Johnny
H.
Johnny something? Johnny Tourette. Johnny Tourette, of course. He's chosen for himself.
Donny.
Oh, Donny Tourette. Donny, sorry. Let me make a note of that, because I'm. I don't want to upset DT, or indeed, I was going to be seeking out all of his work. But I heard a bit of one of Donny Tourette's tracks, and I'm assuming it's. I was on one of Steve Lamac's programs. We were doing a round table, and I just assumed it's a joke. I'm assuming it's a kind of art project or something, because it's so bad and so lame that no one surely could genuinely think that was rock and roll. Could think it was cool.
Well, what I don't understand is obviously quite a posh boy, I think, looking at his background. He's playing this rubbishy pub rock, and then apparently him and his band, if the tabloids believed, go to these swanky clubs in the evenings. It's just such a bizarre mashup.
Yes, but Harry, they wear ripped jeans, I think you'll find, and leather jackets.
I tell you what, if I tried to get into a club with ripped jeans on, as we talked about last week, I wouldn't have
You wouldn't have a chance, mate, but Donny T, he can just breeze straight in because he was on Big Brother for about 8 minutes. But the thing with those people, I've always said, I mean, we talked about it before, but it's that thing is that they come on telly or whatever. Like when he came on Big Brother, he's giving it the V's.
Yeah.
Oh, the V's. Oh, man alive, they're still shocking. Sending ripples through high society. Now he's doing the V's late night on Channel 4. Wow. But it's that rock and roll thing, which, I mean, whatever you may think of Lydon nowadays, you know, the man was rebellious and naughty in the mid-70s. The man, you know, was on TV, he was doing things that had never been done before, and it was outrageous and shocking and rock and roll. And the fact that he's a bit of a joke now, it's just because he's he's like an embarrassing dad who's still trying to look good on the dance floor. But Donny Tourette, aping what Johnny did all those years ago, not having taken it on anywhere, dressing the same, and it's that thing of kind of, oh, I've just kicked over a litter bin. Look at me, I don't care. The fact that someone on kind of £3 an hour has got to tidy it up afterwards doesn't make any difference to him because he's kicking it to the man.
I tell you what, Steve, it's a good job this show isn't listened to by either the 3am girls or the people who write Bizarre in the Sun, because they'd manufacture some sort of huge row now between you and Donny, and you'll kick off in Bougie or some other posh club like that.
Does that exist, or have you just made that up?
I think it exists.
Oh,
yeah.
hang on. I'm in Nobu later. Who's that across the room? It's Donny Tourette. He's thrown some sushi at me. I can't believe it. He's coming at me with a chopstick.
The thing is, what's happened? He's said, I'm not having this, not if Tourette's in it. He's cleared off to Bournemouth, where he's stripping off and cupping girls' breasts, apparently.
Who's what? Prince William?
Yeah,
Not Prince, not Wills. He's the heir to the throne, for goodness sake.
It was in the paper.
So hang on, were you sure you're not confused him with Harry?
No. No, because Harry's just roister-doistering around London. Wills is going berserk in Bournemouth. You know.
Berserk in Bournemouth. Wills goes berserk in Bournemouth. It's like Enid Blyton. It's brilliant. So is that what he's doing? He's cupping ladies' breasts.
Exactly.
Did he know them, or is this just...
Breast in one hand, mojito in the other. You know.
Oh, it's typical of... But anyway, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I kind of I want that from my heir to the throne.
Well, the story is he went into some bar in Bournemouth, and some guy was there playing an acoustic gig, his first ever acoustic gig, and Wills's boorish mates clambered onto the stage and said, "Hey up fella, get off, Wills wants dance music."
Wills wants dance music.
Again, apparently it happened. I'm sure
mean-
this has been covered on other radio stations, but obviously not with this panache.
I'm always obviously loath to believe anything I read in the tabloids unless it's the kind of tittle-tattle that I want to believe, which is exactly what this is.
Yeah.
But I actually, now that you mentioned it, I do remember that story, and I remember it said in the headline, it said it was the guy who was doing the acoustic gig, it was the gig of a lifetime. He's like,
200 disinterested punters in a crap bar.
But I mean, what do we expect from Wills? You know, he is, after all, you know, an upper-class twit.
Yeah.
And if you expect them to have their kind of button-down Ben Sherman shirts, you know, causing trouble in a club, having a few kind of... I mean, he's the typical... I'll tell you what, he's a hooray Henry, if you don't mind me saying it. I don't mind. I've slammed not only Tourette, but our heir to the throne, and I don't care.
I tell you what, if you get invited to one of the Queen's Garden parties this year and Tourette's there, I can see all the royals and Donny kicking off at you. It's going to be a nightmare.
It'd be extraordinary, because it'll be Wills and Tourette teamed up.
Oh, it'd be a bloodbath.
It would be a bloodbath coming at me with a scone, with a hardened scone. Oh man alive. Okay, listen, we've talked and we haven't even introduced you, Harry.
No,
you've got the name. You've got the same name, of course, as Will's nefarious brother. But
Yeah, I'm very well behaved.
you are very well, but you don't share any of his charisma.
No.
And we'll be exploring that as the show progresses, no doubt. You'll be playing some tunes later on. I have to say that anyone who's looking forward to Rufus or Dan, they're not here. I don't know where they are. I'm not sure what's going on. I think Rufus has got some acting to do, which is, of course, his day job.
Either that or he's down the road with Wills and all his posh.
That's true enough. Oh, I'll tell you this, listeners. Now I'm lifting up my nose in a kind of toffee nose way.
Oh, that'll show 'em.
Oh, I don't mind kicking it to the man, rather like Tourette. But I'm doing it through the medium of radio, and I don't care. I'm pretty rock and roll. This is the most rock and roll we've been, I think.
I tell you what, we need Dan here
Slagging
to
off
calm us
people.
down, I think.
We do actually. Okay, let's just chill out. Let's have something quite leisurely from Money Mark. We played it a couple of weeks back, I think. Pick Up the Pieces, current single from his recent album. From Money Mark's new album, brand new by tomorrow. That's Pick Up the Pieces, and it's the Steve Show, BBC Six Music, 3:15. With me, Harry H. I'm going to call you. Is Jesus H. Christ? That is his full name, isn't it?
It is.
I don't think we've ever
yeah.
clarified what the H stands for. But
He is.
Jesus, he is Christ.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, maybe I don't know. I know you're not. Jesus, Holy Christ. Holy Christ. No, I don't think that's appropriate.
Should we just at this point make clear that we don't want to enter into any correspondence about God or Jesus?
No, do not text 64046 and start trying to tell us your views on Jesus. We're not trying to slag the man off. We just thought it was appropriate to discuss him in passing, as it is his special day. Friday, probably the grimmest day in his calendar.
Oh, he can't have enjoyed
He
that.
can't have had a good time then. So yesterday, we're not entirely sure what he was up to, just laying low.
chilling.
Today, whoop, off he came and off we went. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about now. We were talking about the tabloids just now, and I was just in the toilets with a copy of the Daily Star.
Yeah.
Nothing untoward going on. I was in there, and there was a copy in there, which I always find a bit iffy if I find a copy of the Daily Star in a lavatory.
Do you pick up stuff that you find in the
Well,
toilet?
it looked. I mean, first it was the BBC, and I'm assuming that there's not. It's not like it was a couple of smackheads, in a Charing Cross toilet.
Don't you read the Sun? They're all here.
I see. Right.